do this one, and it has multiple transformations. You can put this entire thing in your calculator and see what the end result looks like. But what we're going to do is walk this through one step at a time. And the thing is, you have to follow order of operations. So order of operations says PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So when we excuse my dear Aunt Sally, the first thing we do is parentheses exponents. So we're going to do this one first. This is our first one we're going to do. What core graph is this coming off of? What parent graph? Cubing. So we know we have a parent graph, God bless you, of a cube. And your cube graph goes like this. See, put a little. All right, so the first one now we're going to do is this inside. We've got x plus 7 inside. Which way is this moving? Up and down or sideways? Sideways. To the left or to the right? To the left. It's going the opposite way. 7 units to the left. So we're sliding this thing 7 units to the left. And we're going to say this. This is a horizontal shift 7 units left. This is our first one. What's the second transformation that we should do? Come out of the parentheses. What's right next to it? Not the minus 5. It's in one term still. What's being done here? It's being shrunk. Good. There's a vertical shrink right next to it. These are being multiplied. I'm looking at this guy right here. This is my second one. So 3/5 is causing a vertical shrink. Now, what happens in a vertical shrink is it changes the distance to the origin. Well, we shifted the origin to here right now. So a shrink by a factor of 3/5 will cause us to go like this. It will just widen this a little bit. It changes the distance from the origin, and we translated our origin, and then we spread it out. Yes? Negative is a reflection. You can't dilate something a negative amount. So you actually have two transformations, a dilation and then a reflection. But you're absolutely right. We're going to hit the negative next. So Chris is now telling us that, oh, we have a negative out here. So the third one we're going to do is the negative. The negative is not next to the x. It's next to the y. So when y goes from positive to negative, where's the reflection? Over the x-axis. So this is a reflection in the x-axis. Looking at the green, I'm going to reflect this over. It's going to come here and go here. This is my third one, my reflection. And now coming away from that term, we did everything that was multiplied because we multiply before we divide, we multiply before we do the add and subtract. So now we can come out here to the add and subtract. And we're going to take that guy and we're going to minus 5. Oops. We're going to minus 5 on this. So number 4, our minus 5 does what? Vertical shift, down, good. Vertical shift, down, 5 units. So we're going to just take this guy, look at its point right there. That's the easiest one to do. Visualize you dropping it here and just make your graph.
I have a question.
Yes.
How come yesterday when we were doing all this stuff, we were doing it on the parent graph, and how come we're doing it on the last one now?
We are doing it off the parent graph. What you did yesterday was a series of 3 different steps. So what we're doing today is kind of combining all those steps together. So you're still going off the parent graph, but each one affects order of operations. When they're separate equations, there's only one process you're doing. So when we combine them into one, which is today, we have to follow order of operations. But we're still going to attack each one as a reflection, as a dilation, each one. That's a very good point. So you end up with something that looks like this. Now, you can graph this in your calculator. If you're not sure what's happening, you can put your parent graph in there. I'm going to pull up my calculator. You can put your parent graph in there and then go through one transformation at a time to see what it's doing. Because overall, you need to get from the very first to the last, but you have to give me the stages that it goes through. So find the x, focus on that, follow out the order of operations, and let's see where that brings us. Let's just put this in your calculator first, as soon as it comes up. Put your cubing function in here as a parent graph. And now, the first step we want to look at is what happens when I say x plus 7. I'm going to put it in one at a time. Watch. And then I'm going to cube this. One at a time. I want to see what this does first. So let me move over here and make it darker. So watch what my x plus 7 is doing. Here's my cubing graph. Look at my x plus 7. Okay? Now, let's take this guy and put 3/5 in front of this. Add another transformation here. Insert 3/5. And let's see what happens now. We're still here, but we're just a little bit wider. Just slightly wider. We really can't even notice too much difference. Now let's go put the negative in it. Come down here and add a negative in here. Insert a negative. Now it should take that and flip that over the y-axis, over the x-axis. There it is. And there it comes. See it? Over the x-axis. And now the last thing you want to do is turn around and add the 5 to this one. Or subtract the 5 rather. And now you can see your graph drop down. See it drop down? So one step at a time, keep putting in, by order of operations, keep putting in your transformations. And you should be able to track each one. And verify these on your calculator. This right here, when it starts at the 0, 0, is probably the point that you're going to keep track of. You slid it over, it was now at -7, 0. You reflected it, it still stayed at -7, 0. You dropped it down 5, it is now -7, -5. So keep one point, a vertex point, a point where it's crossing an axis. Keep track of one point as it follows through. That's going to be your easiest way to go through it. Questions? No? Okay. I'm going to give you some to do.